June 19th, 1943. A small village in Vichy, France. The air is thick with the scent of wet earth and smoke, the kind of dampness that only comes after a long storm. Marie is in her modest home, a two-story stone building that looks like it's seen 1,000 years, but has only survived the crushing weight of Nazi occupation for the past 3. The wind carries the faint echoes of German soldiers marching down the cobbled streets, the sound that punctuates the rhythm of life under the harsh eye of the Reich. Marie moves through her home with purpose, her footsteps muffled by the old wood floors. She wears a simple dress, the kind of attire that blends into the background of this war-torn world. Her hands are calloused from years of work, but still gentle enough to cradle the heads of the newborns she helps bring into the world. It's a role she has played without question for over a decade. Midwife, healer, nurturer. But today that role is something more, a mask. Beneath the calm exterior, a secret rebellion stirs in her heart, one she has carried for months now. The village, once a place of peace, has become a powder keg of fear. There are whispers in the streets, in the hushed conversations exchanged under the cover of night. The Gestapo are closer now, their patrols more frequent, their eyes sharper. And as the storm clouds gather on the horizon, Marie knows the time has come. In the small maternity ward tucked away in the back of the building, where the cries of newborns used to bring joy, now only the low murmur of anxious voices fills the room. Resistance fighters, many of them wounded, some on the run from the Gestapo, are hidden in plain sight. Marie takes a deep breath, steadying herself as she walks into the ward. The young woman lying on the bed looks up at her, her eyes wide with fear. She's been pregnant for months, but the child she carries isn't the only thing that weighs on her. She's part of the underground network, a key player in the resistance, and her life, and the life of the child, is in constant danger. Marie pulls a chair up beside her, brushing the sweat from the woman's brow, her touch calm, reassuring. She's learned to hide her fear beneath layers of training, a skill that has become essential in these times. "I'll help you," Marie says, her voice steady but quiet, as if she's speaking more to herself than the woman in the bed. The woman nods, biting her lip to stifle a sob. "Are they close?" she whispers. Marie doesn't need to answer. The distant sound of boots clanging on cobblestone, a sound too familiar now, says everything. "They've been patrolling more frequently," Marie replies, her voice barely above a whisper. "But you're safe here, as long as you stay out of sight." Outside the window, the sun begins to dip below the horizon, casting long shadows across the village. In these moments of fading light, the world feels impossibly small. But for Marie, there's a kind of clarity in it. She's part of something bigger now, something more dangerous than she's ever known. She's no longer just the keeper of life. She is now its protector. In the next room, a man shifts beneath the floorboards, the creak of old wood betraying his presence. He's one of the resistance fighters, wounded in an ambush, hiding out until he can make his way to a safer house. The soldiers are closer now, their presence undeniable, but they would never suspect a midwife of harboring anything more than the sick and the dying. The paradox of it all strikes Marie with the force of a thunderclap. The Gestapo are trained to seek out insurgents, yet they overlook the very thing that can hide them, the maternity ward. They never imagine that a woman whose life is bound by birth could also be bound by a greater loyalty to something even more sacred than her role. They don't see her. They don't see the resistance growing in the shadows of her home, the place where life is meant to begin. Here, it's been saved, protected, and fought for in ways they will never understand. Marie walks to the small window that overlooks the street. She can see the soldiers as they march by, their boots heavy on the cobblestones. They pass her house without a second glance, just as they do every day, too absorbed in their patrols to notice the quiet rebellion right under their noses. It's a strange kind of freedom, she thinks, one that is built on secrets, on risk, on sacrifice. In the distance, the sound of a truck engine hums, a sign that the Gestapo is on the move again, spreading fear wherever they go. Marie's heart races as she watches them. They're getting closer, always getting closer. But the paradox remains. She, a midwife, a woman, is the one standing in the gap. She is the one keeping the fires of resistance burning. And yet, when this war ends, when the world looks back at those who fought, they will not see her. They will not know her name. She returns to the bedside, where the woman is now, crying softly. Marie places a hand on her shoulder, trying to offer comfort, even as the danger outside looms large. The world has changed so much, she thinks. The line between life and death has blurred, and yet she must continue. For the resistance, for the people who cannot fight for themselves. As the evening deepens and the last light of day fades, Marie knows the Gestapo will come again. They will look for the fighters, and they will search everywhere, except the one place where they would never dream to look. But Marie has no illusions. She is playing a game of waiting. Waiting for the day when the hiding will be over, when the resistance will either win or be extinguished forever. And all she can do is keep moving, keep hiding, keep hoping. The clock ticks away. Time is running out, and the future is uncertain. But Marie stands firm, as she always has. A protector, a silent rebel in a world that has no place for her. The night comes quickly in Vichy, France, and the dark blankets the village like an old, familiar shroud. October 15th, 1943. The wind howls, rustling the leaves of the trees outside as the world settles into a tense, silent quiet. Inside Marie's house, the silence is thick with the weight of what's happening just beyond the walls. The soldiers are out again, moving through the streets with their usual methodical precision. They are closer now, much closer than before. The odds are growing slimmer, but still, Marie holds her ground. She moves quickly through the house, her hands steady, her steps purposeful. The maternity ward is quiet, almost unnervingly so. A dozen or more resistance fighters are hidden throughout the house, some resting beneath the floorboards, others nestled in darkened corners of the hayloft. These aren't men and women who are simply seeking shelter. They're the lifeblood of the rebellion, carrying the fire of resistance in their hearts. They're the ones who hold the fragile thread of hope in their hands. Marie takes a deep breath as she walks into the room where one of the fighters lies wounded. His face is pale, sweat beading on his forehead, eyes flickering with pain as he shifts on the mattress. He was injured during an ambush earlier in the day. A bullet to the shoulder, a deep gash on his leg. He's not in immediate danger of dying, but he won't be able to move until he heals, and that could take weeks. She kneels beside him, her hands delicate as she cleans the wound, her mind racing with thoughts of the German patrols creeping closer. Every day, the Gestapo's presence grows. Every day, the risk increases. And every day, Marie becomes more and more entrenched in a war she never asked for, a war she was never trained to fight. "You're getting better," she whispers to the fighter, trying to offer reassurance even though she doesn't fully believe her words. His eyes lock onto hers for a moment, and in them, she sees a reflection of everything she's come to fear. The helplessness, the desperation, the constant battle to survive. "How long before they come for us?" he asks, his voice strained but determined. Marie doesn't answer immediately. Instead, she sets down the cloth and begins to bandage his wound. She doesn't want to say what she knows. The soldiers are out there now, patrolling in larger numbers. Every night, the walls seem to close in a little tighter. The risk is growing, and Marie knows it. But she can't stop. She can't stop now. Too many lives are depending on her. "They won't stop," she says finally, her voice low. "But neither will we." Outside, the sound of boots on cobblestone echoes once more, a constant reminder of the ever-encroaching danger. Marie moves swiftly, her senses sharp, as she glances through the narrow window overlooking the street. Her heart pounds as she watches a group of soldiers pass, their uniforms dark against the dim light of the street lamps. They're heading in the wrong direction, the wrong house. Marie exhales slowly, but her chest remains tight. It's only a matter of time before they come back. And when they do, they won't miss her house. Inside the hayloft, another fighter shifts, causing a creak in the wood. Marie's heart skips. She freezes, her breath caught in her throat. The injured man on the bed looks at her, his eyes wide with understanding. He knows the risk. He knows what's at stake. "They'll come tonight," he says, his voice hoarse. "If we stay here any longer," Marie cuts him off, her gaze hard. "We stay. We fight." She can hear the shuffling of boots outside again. The soldiers are moving, slowing down as they near the house. They've been here before, but tonight there's something different in their movements, a sense of certainty, of purpose. They know something's off. They know that something or someone is hidden here. Marie stands up, her face set in grim determination. "You need to be quiet," she says, turning back to the fighter. "And you need to stay hidden. Don't move, no matter what happens." The man nods, his jaw clenched. Marie hurries out of the room, moving through the house with a practiced ease, her every step deliberate. She passes the children's room, where the sound of soft breathing fills the air, oblivious to the danger around them. She looks at the door leading to the basement, and for a moment, she hesitates. There's no time for hesitation now. The soldiers are only minutes away, and she needs to make sure everyone is hidden before it's too late. Her heart races as she moves quickly through the narrow hall, her mind already racing with plans. She'll get them out. She'll protect them. She's done it before. The cellar door creaks open, and Marie steps into the darkness. They are hidden behind crates of vegetables and bags of flour. The rest of the fighters wait, some silent, some whispering quiet prayers. The house feels like a trap now, a place that has become a sanctuary and a prison all at once. As the sounds of marching soldiers grow louder, Marie feels the tension in her chest tighten. Every second feels like an eternity. Will they get caught? Will they be able to escape? Or will they be dragged out into the streets, hunted down for their defiance? The soldiers' boots are closer now, almost at the doorstep. She holds her breath, watching the door. They are just outside, and in this moment, time seems to bend, stretching out with the kind of terrifying anticipation that can only come when your life and the lives of others are in the balance. She can feel the pulse of her heartbeat in her throat. And then, just as the door creaks open and the first soldier steps inside, Marie whispers, "Now." In a flurry of motion, the fighters slip from their hiding places. The room becomes a blur of movement, a quiet chaos that only those who have spent months in hiding can execute with such precision. They move as one, slipping through cracks in the floor, darting behind beams, their movements practiced and desperate. Marie takes a final glance toward the door as it opens wider. One of the soldiers stops, looks toward the maternity ward, but there's nothing out of the ordinary. The room is empty, save for the remnants of the last meal they had shared. He doesn't see the secret they've hidden away so carefully, the rebellion buried in plain sight. Marie's heart pounds, but she doesn't stop. She leads them out the back, out into the cold night, where the shadows will hide them. They can only run, and hope that they're fast enough, that they're clever enough to escape the jaws of the beast closing in around them. But as they slip into the darkness, Marie knows that this night will come again. The soldiers will return. They always do. And next time, there may not be a way out. August 9th, 1944. The air is thick with the scent of change. The Allies are advancing. The Germans are retreating. The war is nearing its end. But for Marie, it feels like the world is slipping through her fingers. The streets of her village, once filled with the sound of marching boots and the harsh, foreign commands of the occupying forces, now echo with the unmistakable sounds of liberation, the distant roar of tanks, the cautious cheers of those who have lived under the yoke for too long. Marie stands by the window, looking out over the cobbled streets that have become so familiar to her. Her hands tremble as she holds a piece of cloth in her hands, the same cloth she's used for years to cover her face whenever she entered the maternity ward, whenever she faced the cruelty of the war with a mask of calm. It's a small thing, this cloth, but it has become more than just a tool for hiding her identity. It is a symbol of all that she has done, the lives she has saved, the risks she has taken, the secrets she has kept. But it is also a symbol of all that she will never be recognized for. Outside, the soldiers of the Liberation Force march past her house, and the joy in their steps is palpable. This is it, the end of the nightmare. But Marie feels no joy. The end of the war brings with it a bitter sweetness. The freedom she fought for is now slipping away. The faces of those she helped, the ones she hid, the ones she saved, have long since disappeared into the shadows of history. The fighters she once protected have scattered across the country, their names lost to time. And as for her, no one will ever know what she did, who she was, or why she chose to risk everything when she didn't have to. The door behind her creaks open, and Marie turns to see one of the resistance fighters enter. His face is weathered from years of war, but there's something different about him now. A hardness in his eyes that wasn't there before. He stands in the doorway for a moment, silent, as if unsure whether to speak. "They're here," he says quietly. "The Americans. The French. We've won." Marie nods, though her heart doesn't leap the way it should. She's not sure why she's not elated. Shouldn't she be? Shouldn't she be celebrating like everyone else, laughing in the streets, embracing the soldiers who've come to free them? But she can't. They don't know her. They don't know that she's the one who hid the fighters beneath the floorboards, who smuggled messages across the countryside, who stood between the enemy and her people when the rest of the world looked the other way. The Allies will never know the extent of her contribution. She's a ghost in their history, a name that will never be written down, a face that will never be remembered. "We're free," the man repeats, a note of finality in his voice. "And we owe it to you. You kept us alive." Marie's eyes flicker to him, and for the briefest moment, she allows herself to feel something warm and human. Her chest tightens, but the feeling is fleeting, like sand slipping through her fingers. "Then it was worth it," she says, but the words sound hollow in her own ears. The man steps forward, his eyes searching hers. "Marie, you're not going to let them forget, are you?" She stares at him, unsure how to answer. She wants to scream. She wants to shout at him, tell him that it wasn't just her, that there were others, that the fight wasn't over for so many. But she knows it won't change anything. No one will remember. No one will care. "We all have our part to play," she says instead, her voice steady, though there's a weight behind it that speaks volumes. The man nods, understanding more than he says. He looks at her one last time, his eyes filled with something close to gratitude, and then he turns and walks out of the room. He doesn't know, and maybe it's better that way. He doesn't know that Marie will be left behind when the history books are written, that her name will be a footnote at best, a forgotten whisper in the wind. The sound of celebration outside grows louder. The streets are filled with people, the survivors, the triumphant, the lost, all wrapped in the heady rush of freedom. But none of them know the full cost of that freedom. None of them know the sacrifices made in the shadows, the quiet acts of resistance that will never be recorded. As the day stretches on, Marie finds herself walking through the house, her footsteps echoing in the empty rooms. She passes the maternity ward, where once she'd brought life into the world, where she'd also hidden the dead and the dying. It feels empty now, like a relic of the past. The world is moving on, and she's been left behind.